Hello everybody, Lory here. You're going to be seeing me looking over to this side of the screen for a bit because I've got what I want to talk about on this side of the screen. So it's going to be hard for me to focus on the camera and then also look over here. So I'm going to be back and forth a little bit. Okay, so today I thought, considering that recently they finalized let's see, how many is it? 12 now? Oh, it's like 5 Unearthed Arcana. The most recent one to come out has finalized all of the classes. So there's a new subclass for every class. So I thought, now that every class has one, I would go over each and every single one of them. So that way, you know, it's... So that we have, these are all playtest content. All the Unearthed Arcanas are up, and I just want to go over them and give my personal thoughts on each and every single one of these subclasses, or archetypes, or paths, or options that are now technically available. Most of them, except for the most recent one, has been finalized on the D&D Beyond. So there's that. So they're available for playtesting, and I'm hoping, from what I've gleaned over them so far, we're going to be having a new book in 2020 that'll have all of these, if not the majority of, or at least the majority of these, in that book in some form. That's what I would like to see. I don't know if we're going to, but I'd like to think so. The creative team at Wizards have produced this, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes, at the very least. So, we have the first Unearthed Arcana, which came out in, let's see, it's now middle of October. So, I think this was like August, September time? So, yeah. The first one was Barbarian and Monk, where we had the primal path of the wild soul and the way of the astral self. We're starting with the Barbarian primal path, the path of the wild soul. The way this was read out, it seems like the Barbarian itself, up until this point, somewhere at 3rd level, leading up to this, was suffused with magic. Magic has somehow made it into their system in some fashion, in the sense of, like, they've been dunked in a magical pool of water, basically. Or something blasted them with a high amount of magical power. It gives like a certain, like a wild surge-ish. I mean, that's one of the earliest abilities of it. It got this wild surge power, so there's that. Now, but from its way it reads, the realm of the Feywild abounds of beauty, unpredictable emotion, and rampant magic. A barbarian exposed to this realm feels emotions powerfully, and magic saturates their body. Basically, you have some connection to the Feywild. I could easily, just from that description alone, you could play a Barbarian Eladrin. I mean, the Eladrin gets no bonuses to the Barbarian prime stats, but hey, it definitely makes sense. It makes sense, right? I mean, it's basically that. So raging is different for this Barbarian. You still can't cast spells while you're raging, but you get some spell-like abilities when you rage. Or you gain the ability to perform a spell-like effect when you rage, pulled from this Wild Surge table. Now, it's not extensive. It's not a Wild Surge in the extensivity of, say, the Wild Magic Sorcerer. But okay, let's just go over let's just start at the top. Let's just start at the top and work our way down. Power features: 3rd level, Lingering Magic and Wild Surge. 6th level, Magic Reserves D4. 10th level, Arcane Rebuke. And at 14th, we've got Chaotic Fury, and Magic Reserves goes up to 1d6. So starting with Lingering Magic. Your body reacts to the presence of magic. You can cast a Detect Magic spell without using a spell slot or components. Constitution is your spellcasting ability for the spell. the tech magic doesn't really need the ability unless you're trying to dispel it. Maybe I don't think. The tech magic is one of the majority of spells that doesn't have like you do this for the purposes of determining the DC or the spell attack or anything like that, or even how long the spell lasts. It literally just does what it says on the tin. You put it up, it lasts 10 minutes. You can see magic or effects in the area. So it's a good point to just say Constitution is the spellcasting ability for this spell, but the spell itself doesn't rely on any of the a spellcasting ability to begin with. So yeah, I get why they did it. They just didn't need to fully. You faintly go the color corresponding to the scroll of magic you detect. You choose the color. So, that's fun. That's fun. You basically are a rainbow at that point where you're just like, oh, that's got evocation. Oh, that's got the illusion. Oh, that one's enchantment. And you're going like red, blue, silver, whatever the fuck you want it to be, basically, because it's that's a core concept of this Unearthed Arcana. It's you pick how it looks. We don't tell you what it looks like. You pick how it looks. This is the beginning of that, I think. You can use this feature a number of times, equal to your Constitution modifier, minimum once. So even if you have a 0, you still get 1 use of it, regardless. And again, all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now that's pretty decent. It's not an always available detect magic spell, and let's be honest, it's useful if you need to use it, and it lasts 10 minutes, and you can just pop it like that. And if you're playing a Barbarian, you're probably going to have a decent Constitution, so at third level, you've probably got like what, 3 uses of it, maybe 4. But it depends on how you're using stat array, point buy, or it could be a situation of like, depending on whether you're not using stat array, point buy, you may have got a bonus from feat for your Constitution, or if you just rolled and you got exceedingly well. That way you may even start with 5. Whatever. Which is pretty cool. Wild Surge, starting at 3rd level, magic erupts from you as you rage. When you enter a rage, roll on this table to determine the magical effect produced, which seems to be a one-time use, I think. A one-time use, I think, whenever you rage. So it changes every time you rage. And some of them have requirement to people make a saving throw, which is 8 plus your proficiency plus your Constitution modifier, which means you are basically a concaster for the purposes of these Wild Surges. The most basic one, well, I say basic, it's the first one that appears on this list. You got the D8 Wild Surge effects, and the first one is necrotic energy bursts from you. Each creature within 30 feet of you takes 1d10 necrotic damage, and you gain temporary hit points equal to the sum of the necrotic damage dealt to creatures. Now this is all creatures within 10 feet of you. No, 30 feet of you, sorry. 30 feet. That's pretty powerful, unless the creature's like immune to necrotic or whatever. But for the most part, especially at 3rd level, let's just say you run into I don't know, kobolds or goblins. Most creatures like that have like a d6 hit dice, and have like 5 hit points. And you're doing like a minute, and you're doing a d10 of down necrotic damage to all of them. And it's like, it's not just you gain back the same amount you deal on one dice. It's every single creature you deal damage to, you gain that temporary hit point. So you don't just get back 1d10. You gain back up to the 30-foot radius. This also affects allies. This also hits your allies if they're within 30 feet of you. So that's the thing about Wild Surge. It's random. It's random. It's meant to be random. It's meant to be wild. It's meant to just be crazy as fuck. Part 2. Number 2, actually. You teleport up to 20 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can activate this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. This is one of the few on here that actually lets you reuse the effect as a bonus. So, It's a short range Misty Step, shorter range Misty Step, or when most of the level 1 spell teleports that use a bonus action. I mean, it's extra movement. It's an extra 20 feet of movement that you get to use for free, and it's a teleport. Teleports don't provoke, so you need, if you want that extra 20 feet, but you don't want to use your action to dash. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like it. I do like it. Number 3, you conjure a D4 intangible spirits that look like flumps. Everyone loves flumps. In unoccupied spaces within 30 feet of you. Each spirit immediately flies 30 feet in a random direction. At the end of a turn, all spirits explode, and each creature within 5 feet of one or more of them must succeed on a dexterity save or take 2d8 force damage. Exploding flumps, everybody! The poor flumps. It's nice. It's no guaranteed, but it's nice. Arcane energy enshrouds you until your rage ends. You gain a +2 bonus to AC, and whenever a creature within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, that creature takes force damage equal to your Constitution modifier. I mean, a +2 to your AC and a little bit of damage when you get hit. I mean, the first bit's trying to stop you from getting hit, but if you do get hit, you got a nice little buffer. That's dope. I like it. It works. Plant life grows around you until your rage ends. The ground within 10 feet of you is difficult terrain. Now, this might need a little bit of wording to change to make sense, because the ground within 10 feet of you is difficult terrain. Does that count for the Barbarian as well? Because they are creating the difficult terrain, but they also have to move through it. Do they move through it, or do they not? You see the point here? That might need a little bit of extra wording to say your movement is not affected by it or something. This is why I think by what I meant by earlier when I said it's going. If I want to see it in a book, it might be exactly as it is right now, or it might be different in some fashion. Just a little bit of extra wording, because I like everything I've seen so far in these. I haven't fully read them all, and I still need to go over them. Number 6. Arcane energy taps into the minds of those around you. Each creature within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or you see a glimpse of the creature's thoughts, learning how it plans to attack you. As a result, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you until the start of your next turn. Again, this is literally a one. This is a one and done again, and most of these are one and dones, or are constantly up until your rage ends. It's all right. It's not great. Just get a disadvantage. For one turn, they get disadvantage against you. Chances are you're using reckless, so they have a straight roll at best for one turn. It's all right, I guess. Could be better. Shadows weave around you. Number 7. Weave around your a weapon of your choice you are holding. Until your rage ends, your weapon deals psychic damage instead of its bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing damage, and it gains the light. It gains the light and thrown properties with a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. If you drop the weapon or throw it, the weapon dissipates and then reappears in your hand at the end of your turn. It's that's effectively Shadow Blade. It's basically the Shadow Blade spell. I like it. It's not saying you're casting a spell. It's basically transforming your weapon into the Shadow Blade weapon. Not a lot of creatures are immune or resistant to psychic, and if you happen to accidentally rage and get this, or well, you purposely rage and you roll this one when you're facing a construct. Oh well, I guess you're shit out of luck. You just have to drop your rage and rage again and hope you don't roll a 7. That's basically it there, I guess. Sorry. I mean, it's psychic damage is pretty decent. It's always going to be it's always potluck with this lot anyway. So, you know. 8. A beam of a beam of brilliant light lances from your chest in a 5-foot, 60-foot long cone. Line. Don't know why I said cone. Because how could you have a 5-foot wide cone? Each creature in the line must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 2d8 radiant damage and be blinded until the start of your next turn. It's a mini sunbeam. Most of these abilities seem to be like miniature spells. Like number 1 seems to be like a miniature version of Circle of Death, kinda. I mean, I like it. I mean, I like them. The fact that they're all somewhat spell-like in... They're spell-light. They kind of match other spells that already exist. In both the both the Player's Handbook and the Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And those are pretty cool. I like it. It's kind of giving the Barbarian a mini spell list to pick from without changing how the rage mechanic actually works for not being able to have concentration or spell, can't cast spells whilst raging, yada, 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 all that. It's nice. I like it so far. The Barbarian with this has some randomness to it when they rage, but it's pretty dope. It's pretty cool. I like it. Magical reserves. At 6th level, you can channel the magic surging inside you into other creatures. As an action, you can touch a creature and roll d4. Creature covers an expended spell slot of a level equal to the number rolled. If the creature you touch can't recover a spell slot of that level, the creature instead gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the number rolled. And you take force damage equal to 5 times the number rolled. So, you're either giving them a temporary buffer, or you're helping them regain a spell slot, which, if you're inside the... And also, it doesn't actually have a limit to how many times a day you can do it, except for the amount of damage you take. And since this is a 6th level ability, you're rocking 6d12 plus your con modifier in hit points, which means you could end up taking, like, at the moment, maximum of 20 points. Maximum of 20 points of damage, which is not a lot of hit points, but for the Barbarian, it might not be as much as, say, on someone like a wizard. There's a big buffer between the D6 and a D12 when it comes to how many hit points you might have on it because of your hit dice. But I mean, it keeps spellcasters going a bit longer. That's for sure. I mean, I've just burnt my 4th level spell slot. Okay, I'll see if I can give you it back. At least I've given you hit points. I mean, I don't play spellcasters a lot. At least I don't play full casters a lot. I can see this working well for people who have full casters in their party. Heck, this technically even helps out the Paladin. The Paladin burns through all their smites. They don't get that back until a long rest. Boom. Paladin gets it back. Heck, do this on a Warlock. Warlock automatically... How will this work with Warlock? Do they just get 1 spell slot back? They just get a spell slot back. Because Warlocks don't cast... Because Warlocks don't cast using spell levels, at least in the same fashion as everyone else. They automatically upcast to the highest, so does this give back 1 spell slot to a Warlock? Guess that's something wizards need to think about. Or people need to put... Or people at the table might think about if wizards don't answer that question. 14th level, it turns into a D6, which gives an extra 2 points. And they're keeping away from the reality-breaking spells from being touched upon. So 7th and up, which contain stuff like sorry, a little bit tired, didn't sleep properly. True Resurrection, I think, is in 7th level. Demiplane, Wish. You know, all the really big, powerful ones that are... I create my own pocket dimension, basically. That kind of shit. Arcane Rebuke, 10th level. The magic crackling within your soul lashes out. Whenever a creature forces you to make a saving throw, While you're raging, you can use your reaction to deal 3d6 force damage to that creature. No save required, just spending a reaction, and you deal a bunch of damage. Oh dear. Oh, God damn it, man. Again, the sheer fact that it's basically piling on more damage in that fashion. It's doing it in a fun way, in my opinion, and it's force damage, so I don't think there's anything out there that's, like, resistant to force. In fact, there's a lot of things that are, like, you hit them with, you can only deal damage to them with force damage. AKA, I think ethereal creatures can only be damaged with force. You can't touch an ethereal creature, and you have to be able to see into the ethereal plane to be able to damage them with force damage anyway, but again, so far, the Barbarian, the Wild Soul, I think everything fits flavor-wise, and it seems to work. It's not over. It's not. How do I put this? You can tell just by looking in both the player's handbook and the DM, and not the DMG, the Xanathar guide. It's not power creep. It's not power creep. What's the word? There's a scale. There's a sliding scale between skills and abilities from one path or archetype that are baseline, and then it scales up and down between how much. Okay, let me just. It scales up and down in a situation of, like, which one's stronger. What feels stronger, what feels weaker. I can't really describe it. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that situation and that entire line of thinking because I just can't figure out how to word it. My brain just can't figure out how to word it. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know what to say. And we'll just move on to the final part of the Barbarian here. The Barbarian's Wild Soul. 14th level, you become a Wellspring of Wild Magic. While you're raging, as a bonus action, you can re-roll on the Wild Search table, replacing your current effect with the new one. So, if you got a one and done ability, you're like, well, it was a one and done. I'm at 14th level. I'm still in rage. Bonus action to do it again. And it doesn't use an initial rage, which for some of those abilities, I feel like that's actually pretty perfect. I mean, obviously, there's only one in there that has that allows you to bonus action to move and do it again, and that's the random teleport one. But you have to roll that one in the first place, and maybe you don't want the random teleport. Well, it's not random. You pick a space within 20 feet. But so far, I really like how the Barbarian Wild Soul looked. Or looks, I should say. There might be a few wording issues that they might need to do. They might end up changing some of these Wild Surge effects. Maybe they'll add more. Maybe they'll replace them. But from the way I'm looking at it, they've basically just taken spells and given you a limited version of that spell. And it's basic spell casting. It's basically spell casting. It's not exactly spell casting, but it's basically spell casting. It's just that it's not it doesn't get negated by the fact that when you enter a rage, you can't cast a spell, nor can you concentrate on a spell. So overall, I would say that this one's pretty much perfect as it is. There's a few little bits of tweaking here and there that may need to be done, maybe wording-wise, or figure out strength of it all. But for the most part, I think, yeah, this is one of the two that's probably had the most playtesting, just due to the sheer fact that it has been out the longest now. And I would like to think that this one will probably make it into whatever book that comes out in 2020. As is, and I would say this is a 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10 in terms of, like, preparedness. Maybe it's a full 10. I don't know. But from my personal perspective, there might be a few little bit of word tweakings that may need to be done to finalize it. But I like it the way it is, and I think it'll just make it into the book as is. So that's why I'm saying it's a 9 out of 10 when it comes to that.